The woman gave birth to 2 twins, and after 10 days, she learned the terrible truth. Danielle had dreamed of motherhood her entire life. After 3 years of trying, 2 miscarriages, and 1 emergency surgery, the moment she finally heard 2 heartbeats in the ultrasound room felt like a divine reward. She cried. Her husband cried. Even the technician smiled softly and said, "Looks like double the love." Her pregnancy wasn't easy. Nausea, bed rest, sleepless nights. But when she finally held 2 tiny boys in her arms, both with smooth, dark skin, tight curls, and matching soft cries, it felt worth every ache. The hospital tagged them Baby A and Baby B. No one questioned it. They looked almost identical. Danielle didn't care who came out first. She just whispered the name she'd chosen long ago, Malik and Micah. The first few days passed in a warm, hazy blur. Diapers, feedings, nurses in and out, visitors bringing balloons. Her husband took pictures beaming. One nurse commented how rare it was that both boys were so calm. Even during blood draws, she said they didn't cry. Danielle laughed. I guess they're just used to being close. But by day 6, something began to feel off. Micah, or the baby she thought was Micah, had become more alert. He stared longer, reacted more strongly to noise. Malik was quieter, too quiet. Danielle chalked it up to temperament. But then came the odd moments. One diaper had no hospital label, while the other did. One baby had a birthmark under his armpit that Danielle swore she hadn't seen before. And when she asked a nurse to confirm which one was which, the woman hesitated just for a second. That second haunted Danielle. On day 10, something broke. It was late, just after 3 a.m. Danielle was half asleep, breastfeeding one of the babies in the rocking chair. Her husband snored gently in the cot nearby. The night shift nurse walked in with a clipboard to check vitals. "Do you mind confirming the ID tags again?" Danielle asked, trying to sound casual. The nurse smiled. Of course. She walked to the bassinet and scanned the wristbands. Her face changed. Not panic, not confusion, just a blank pause. Danielle's heart pounded. "What is it?" she whispered. Let me double-check something." The nurse turned and left the room with the clipboard and without a word. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. Danielle sat frozen in the chair, arms cradling the baby against her chest. The rocking motion stopped. Her husband stirred awake. "Everything okay?" She didn't answer. Then the door opened. 2 nurses entered, followed by a woman in scrubs with a laminated ID marked admin and a hospital security officer. Danielle's body tensed. "Mrs. Akers," the admin woman began gently, "we need to speak with you privately." "What's going on?" "There seems to have been an administrative mistake regarding your twins' identification." Her husband sat up straight. "What kind of mistake?" The woman hesitated. "One of the babies. The ID number on his band doesn't match your delivery file." Danielle gripped the baby tighter. "What are you saying?" The woman continued, slow and measured. "We believe that during the NICU transition on the night of your delivery, there may have been a mix-up between 2 newborns, 2 boys born within 20 minutes of each other." Danielle's eyes widened. "But they're twins. I had twins." The room fell painfully quiet until the admin's next words pierced the air. "You gave birth to 1 baby, Mrs. Takers. The second child, we believe, was mistakenly placed with you." Danielle's knees went weak. She nearly dropped the baby in her arms. Her husband stood and caught her steady in her, his own face pale. "I don't understand," he said. "Are you saying one of our sons isn't ours?" The admin nodded. "We're running emergency DNA to confirm, but it appears only one child is biologically yours," Danielle whispered, barely audible. "Then who is the other?" The answer would not come until the next day, but what she would learn would be far more painful and far more unbelievable than she ever could have imagined. Danielle didn't sleep. Not that night. Not after the nurse walked in with the DNA results. Not after the gentle words from the hospital's pediatric chief. "There's been a confirmed mix-up, and the child in your care is not biologically yours." The words echoed in her mind long after the room emptied. She sat with both babies cradled in her arms. Micah, her biological son, squirmed slightly in sleep. Malik, the boy she thought was his twin, lay still, one tiny hand wrapped around her shirt collar, like he always did. She looked down at them. How could she be expected to tell the difference now? The next morning, the full story unraveled. A hospital administrator, a caseworker, and the NICU head nurse stood at her bedside. "Another baby was born the same night you delivered," the administrator said. "Same floor, same hour. A woman came in under a false name, minimal ID, said she had no family. She gave birth, declined to nurse, and refused to stay overnight." The caseworker stepped in. She left the child in the NICU under the assumption that someone would figure it out. Danielle's husband asked what no one wanted to ask. Did she abandon him? There was a pause. The caseworker nodded. Yes. The stairwell camera confirmed she left at 4:37 a.m. without notifying staff. The baby Dew, was mistakenly transferred to your suite with your son. We believe the wristbands were mislabeled in the shuffle. Both were dressed in standard newborn hospital clothing. The staff had no reason to question it. Danielle's lips parted, but no words came. Her brain was processing facts, but her heart was already breaking. They offered her options. Cold legal language, policies, protocols. We can initiate a safe handoff of baby Doe to state care. They said he'll be placed in the foster system until next of kin is identified or an adoptive home is found. The room seemed to tilt sideways. She looked down at Malik, the baby who wasn't hers, or was he? Who had fed him every 3 hours since birth? Who had held him through gas pains? Who had hummed lullabies into his ear when the ward lights went dim? Danielle swallowed hard. "No," she said softly. "He doesn't go to foster care." The caseworker straightened. "You have the right to apply for temporary guardianship, but the process can be—" "I don't care how long it takes," Danielle interrupted. Her voice didn't rise, but it carried weight. "I won't let him go. The hospital let them stay for 2 more nights." Danielle hardly left the room. She bathed both babies herself. When staff offered to help, she declined. She memorized their breathing patterns, their soft noises, how Micah would stretch his fingers wide before nursing, and how Malik always tucked his thumb against his cheek. Not blood, but bonded. On the 3rd night, her husband sat beside her, watching the babies sleep. "You know, we weren't ready for one," he said quietly, "let alone 2. Danielle looked at him. "You don't want him." He reached over and traced Malik's cheek with a single finger. "I didn't say that." A long silence. "Then I don't know what he's been through. I don't know where he came from, but I know this." He turned to her. "He found you." A week later, Danielle and her husband were granted emergency guardianship of baby Dew. She signed the documents with tears in her eyes, and Malik sleeping in her arms. The transition wasn't seamless. There were interviews, evaluations, paperwork. But Danielle did it all. She answered every question, showed up to every meeting. Why do you want to adopt a child that isn't biologically yours? One case agent asked bluntly. Danielle smiled. Because biology didn't feed him at 3 a.m. I did. Because biology didn't calm him during his first fever. I did. Because when he opened his eyes, he looked for me. 6 months later, the adoption was finalized. Baby Dew became Malik James Akers, Micah's brother, her son. No asterisk, no second tier. Family. When friends and neighbors learned the truth, many asked the same question. Do you ever think about how different your life would be if that mix-up never happened? And Danielle would hold her boys close, look into their matching brown eyes and answer, I don't think about what was supposed to happen. I thank God every day for what did, because sometimes life doesn't follow a plan. Sometimes it leaves a child in your arms, not by birth, but by divine accident. And in the end, you don't choose family by blood, you choose it by love. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.